Alright guys, so I just got the Razer Onza Tournament Edition in the mail. Pre-ordered it in Nanners. When did we pre-order that? January? Good talk. So it's been about 2 months since I pre-ordered this and it finally shipped out. I guess it got super slammed and that's why it's taken so long, but let's just hop right into it. How does this controller feel? So real quick, let's show you guys. The analog sticks themselves are a little bit more raised than a standard Xbox controller. I don't know where my other controller is to... It's right here. So, as a frame of reference so you guys can see, it's definitely a little bit more raised, which gives you noticeably more precision when you're... It's basically like in between a Control Freak and a regular analog stick, so you have more freedom of movement. And then on top of that, if you take a look at these little dials, if you turn them left or right, it adjusts how much resistance the controller has. So if I go all the way to the right, I think it's just completely loose. There's no resistance. If I go all the way to the left, I guess this would be the right. Now it's a lot harder. I don't know if you guys can see that, but and on top of that, the D-pad is overhauled. It's now separate buttons. It's not some clunky D-pad. The controller itself has sort of like a concave part in the back, which you don't really think too much of it when you see it, but when you're actually holding it, it does make a difference. On my middle finger here, there's like a little nerve that pops up just because it's always resting against the back of a controller, and now there's not as much resistance there, so I like that. It's got a rubber grip, so it feels a little bit more solid in your hands. But the biggest selling point, hands down, is this extra bumper on the top. So if you notice, there's 2 bumpers and then a trigger on each side. Each of these 2 bumpers in the front, you can map them to be whatever you want. So if I want this to be jump, it can be jump. If I want this to be melee, it can be melee. So now when I play Call of Duty, for example, I can have a bumper jumper setting where I'm jumping with this bumper right here, and I'm able to have complete freedom when it comes to aiming. I can aim, jump, drop shot all at the same time, which was probably what got me more excited about this product than anything else. And then the fact that melee is right here, it means that I can play on tactical setup and still be able to melee in close quarters without having to take my finger off the right analog stick, and that's pretty epic. So the first thing I noticed, like when I got mine, this is actually Nanners. When I got mine, the analog stick was on the tightest settings that you could have, and no matter what I did, nothing would switch that. And so I think I got a defective unit, so just know that right off the bat. But he got the better one. Are you making faces back there? So I've been playing with his, and so I'm just gonna use a functioning controller as a frame of reference for you guys. But just know that I got a defective one and he got a good one, because he's seen Nanners and nothing ever bad happens to him. So yeah, the other thing that I want to do right now is just show you guys how it plays, because I can talk about it all I want, but until you guys actually see how it plays in the game, then it doesn't really mean much. So
our only focus is the mission. Spy plane incoming. Enemies jamming our radar. jamming our radar. Enemy spy plane above. Enemy spy plane incoming.
So I guess what I'd have to say about the product right now is that aside from the possibility that you might get a controller with a fucked right analog stick that doesn't really work that properly, it works just about as you'd expect it to work. So in other words, it does everything that it says it does. The only thing that you're going to have to get used to is the fact that there are these two bumpers instead of just one. It's not something that technically feels very natural to transition to. So the fact that now this middle one does a secondary and this does your special action and this is a nade and this is a melee, that's something that I thought going into it would just be this seamless transition, and it's a little bit more awkward than I thought it would be, but that's not really an issue of the controller itself, it's just an issue of muscle memory. And I've been playing combat training for the last basically 2 hours just trying to, I don't know, pound it into my brain that these buttons do this and I now have to do this if I want to accomplish this thing. And now that I'm getting used to it little by little, I'd say that I'm liking what it's doing for me so far. So, would I buy it? I mean, I bought it. What are you doing back there? Do your work. Why don't you do your work and not concern yourself with what I'm doing, okay? I mean, I bought it, so I'm happy with buying it, but ultimately it's up to you guys. It's like $65 including shipping, and I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't buy, but I'd say at this point I'm happy with my purchase. Rather, I'm happy with Adam's purchase because I got a shitty one. That's it.